and his story, and how he made everything with his power and glory. God made everything from the start with a magnificent love in his heart. On the first day, when God showed his power and might, by his word, he divided the dark from the light. For the light that God understood, by his word he made it, and then he called it good. On the second day, the heavens did appear. And God separated the waters from the atmosphere. There were two places where the waters did flow. The new sky, called heaven, showed God's wonder and glow. On the third day, waters flowed into the sea. As the bare land appeared, it dried in God's breeze. Then life burst into the world on the third day of creation. From under the water, God brought forth the earth. Peeking up through the earth's soil, plants waved like millions of tiny flags. Grass grew. Bushes. Flowers and trees. The plants grew into every size and shape. The trees towered above all the plants. Each held its seeds and fruits. Their seeds and fruits scattered as animals carried them from the trees. Now the children would like to sing to you, who made the plants? In a green valley, a fox dropped an olive pit. Along a rocky shore, a stork split open an acorn. And on a tall mountain, a goat accidentally shook loose a seed from a pine cone. The pit, the acorn, and the seed grew into saplings. They were watered by the rain and warmed by the sun. And the saplings reached upwards. As the three trees grew, it dreamed of what it would become. A beautiful olive tree blossomed in the valley. The olive tree dreamed of becoming a beautiful and important treasure chest. Decorated with sparkling jewels, it would hold the greatest treasure in the world.
Look at him. Wow.
One day, woodsmen came to the forest. It seemed that the olive tree's dream would come true. The woodsman chose the olive tree from all the other trees, and the olive tree trembled with happiness. At last, it would become a beautiful treasure chest. The woodsman chopped, and they chopped, until the olive tree fell to the ground. They took the olive tree to their workshop, and they cut it into boards and hammered them into a box. To the tree's surprise, the woodsman did not make the box into a treasure chest. They did not polish the olive tree's fine wood or fill the box with gold. Instead, they carried the box into a stable where the woodsman filled the box with hay. The olive tree saw that it had become a manger, a mere feeding box for animals. It knew then that it would never hold a treasure. As the olive tree's dream faded into the dusty stable, the oak tree looked over the water with a dream of its own. The mighty oak stood on a rocky coast. Strong and proud, it dreamed that its mighty trunk would be made into a mighty ship that would carry a king. One day, shipbuilders came. They began to chop at the oak's tree trunk until it came tumbling down. The men hauled it to their boatyard And they sawed the broad trunk into boards. They bent the boards to form the sides of the boat. And with each passing day, the oak tree felt certain that his dream was coming true. But when the shipbuilders were done, the oak felt small and weak. It had not become a mighty ship at all. Instead, it was a little fishing boat, launched in a calm lake. The mighty oak knew then that a king would never sail in a little fishing boat. High on the mountainside above the oak boat, the pine tree stood tall. Many times they saw people in the valley looking up. The pine tree hoped that its towering branches would remind people of the glory of God's creation. It dreamed that it would always stay on the mountain and point people to God. One night, a fierce storm shook the mountain. The pine tree bent and swayed in the powerful wind as the thunderbolt, bolts of lightning flashed from the sky and splintered the tree's trunk. With a sound almost as loud as the thunder, the pine tree crashed to the ground. The pine tree's tree crashed down with it. No one would ever look up to it again. Its long trunk now just blocked the mountain road. The tree thought that things could not possibly get worse. But then, strong soldiers hauled it to a scrapyard. Unused and forgotten, the pine laid on a heap of old lumber. It knew that a piece of scrap wood could never point to God. Many years passed. The three trees' great dreams seemed so far away that they stopped thinking about them. For what greatness could come to a feed box, a fishing boat, and scrap wood? But God had his plan for each of the trees. One night, shepherds keeping watch over their flock saw an angel. A great light shone all around, and an angel appeared. The angel told them not to be afraid.
You have to wait until Gabe's in the boat. Here's his boat. He'll come in.
The angel told them not to be afraid.
Don't be afraid, the Savior has been born in Bethlehem.
Just as the angel said, the shepherds found the baby lying in a manger. The olive tree had not become a treasure chest, but now it was a manger. It held the greatest treasure of all time, God's only Son, Jesus.
You might have to open and close it again so it doesn't turn.
The infant Jesus grew into a man. And the man traveled to the very lake that held the oak fishing boat. One day, the little boat carried Jesus onto the lake with the fishermen. And suddenly, Suddenly, a great storm swept over the lake. Water washed into the boat. The oak boat struggled with all of his strength so it would not sink.
Okay, do it
Then
again.
Jesus stood up and he said,
Peace, be still.
and the storm suddenly stopped. The boat had never carried a king before, but now it carried the King of Kings.
Good job.
The pine tree knew nothing of Jesus or his miracles. But one morning, it heard angry voices in the distance, crying out, "Crucify him!" The mob continued to yell, "Crucify him!" Soldiers came to the scrapyard and grabbed the forgotten pine. The pine tree expected to be cut into firewood, but instead, the soldiers cut his trunk into 2 pieces to make a cross. Then they laid the cross on Jesus' back. On the hillside, under a blackening sky, the pine cross swayed as the soldiers raised it. It did not know whether it could bear the weight of the man upon the cross. The pine tree had wanted only to point people to God, but now it knew it would become a sign of death. Jesus died that day to take away the sins of all who believe in him. He was taken down from the cross. And his body was laid in a tomb. Then a wondrous thing had happened. 3 days later, Jesus rose to life again and fulfilled his heavenly Father's plan for him. And what of the 3 trees? They too had fulfilled God's plans for them. Miraculously, God's plans had taken them beyond their youthful dreams. The olive wood manger had held the greatest treasure of all, God's beloved Son. The oak fishing boat had carried the King of Kings during his work on earth. And to this day, the cross points people to God as a symbol of his great love for us. Sometimes the dreams that we have for ourselves are much smaller than the dreams that God has for us. The 3 trees' dream came true, just not in the way they imagined. And so it is with each of us. For if we follow God's path, we will travel far beyond even our greatest dreams.